Hello.
Sure. As per usual, we're going to kick off the show with a lovely, ridiculous, Scottish pronounced version of the word "so."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be hearing that throughout, so do listen and count the number of so's.
Those who win get, I don't know, the NHS gets your arse or something like that. That's how we ended the last one.
Something like that.
Yeah, cool. Fantastic. Right.
So welcome.
Another one, there we go.
Welcome to episode 4?
Episode 4, but also part 2. So is it secretly 3-2?
I don't know. And the other 2 were videos, which is weird for a podcast. You are joining us. That guy's a maniac. I don't know. We don't really have a name for it, do we?
That guy's a maniac. The podcast, much like all of our branding, it's like that guy's a maniac. The blog. That guy's a maniac. The video game. That guy's a maniac. T-shirt. That guy's a maniac. The dragon dildo. Yeah.
I'm speaking with Richie.
Yeah. And I am speaking with Farley, aka Kunzi11.
Which we completely failed to do last time. And this is part 2, round 2 of What Are You Playing?
Yes. And what we did in the last one was we covered a few games that we've been playing recently. We both mutually had been playing Resident Evil 3. I had done some shit in WoW, and you talked a bit about Axiom Verge, Little Metroidvania, and I spoke briefly on Dragon Ball Kakarot.
And Kirby's Adventure as well.
Kirby's Adventure, of course. Yeah. And yeah, you're. I think we left it on a very interesting cliffhanger that your gran had given you an inheritance or something like that.
That's right, yeah. No, I got a little bit of birthday money, so I decided to treat myself to some Switch games, and this was in the midst of the spring sale, and it's always nice. I don't know, when you get that kind of bonus money or like a voucher. This is guilt-free spending. I can perhaps try something that I wouldn't have liked otherwise. So with that, I picked up a couple of games, one of which was Doom 64, which is probably one of the few Dooms I've never actually played. I haven't touched that, so I'm not going to talk about that. And the other one was a little game called In Other Waters, which is it's a bit of a weird one, but it's one of the ones that PC gamers in particular were raving about. And essentially you play you kind of play the heads up display of this deep sea diving suit.
Okay, that sounds like a very proper indie game premise. That sounds like your usual. You can see the hipsters with their beards and their sandals in their beanbag shared space thinking, what is the concept for this game?
What is the gimmick? What can we do?
Yeah.
What's the gimmick? So the gimmick in this game is you're essentially looking at a map, like a top-down view of a topographical map underwater, and you're interacting with somebody who's found the suit, and then you're responsible for kind of moving the suit around, ping the radar, investigating these kind of weird undersea species, and then kind of progressing the map. So I've not played it too much, and initially it's kind of cool because you have kind of different button combinations to search for an area, then you switch to a different radar, and then you press like a sample button, and then you press 2 buttons to sample. So it's kind of you're all the controls are kind of doing different little things in this HUD. And I think I've got to the first area, and then you get to a hub. Of course, every game's have hubs. There's a kind of a species index, the things to collect. So yeah, it's really enjoyable, really slow. It's a nice one for kind of a nice, gentle, relaxed pace. The music's quite cool. And the only thing is, so far, I reckon I've played about an hour, is I hope you get kind of other stuff to do. Because doing those same kind of limited, you've got maybe like 10 different controls over and over and over and over and over will get quite tiresome. So I hope that it's either quite short or you kind of expand more and more of your gear. But yeah, it's cool. It's from the kind of conversation you have with the person who's inhabiting your suit, who's looking for somebody who sent them a message. Of course, you kind of unpeel this story, and it's clear that you're kind of exploring this ocean. It seems to be an ocean of this planet, and there's reams and reams of text in the kind of species index and archive, and you have to kind of find 4 or 5 different examples and sample them to unlock all that. So that's one of the things I'm playing, and it's kind of cool. If at some point I give an update, I'll let you know whether it kind of if it picks up,
does anything.
Yeah, if it does anything, or whether it's just that over and over and over again. But yeah, enjoying it. And in the sale, it was ridiculously small, and it's a tiny download as well, which is increasingly becoming an issue with the Switch games. So that's In Other Waters, and yeah, give it a go if you're curious.
Yeah, I mean, I delve into indie games, but only because they're going to be cheap or they're in a sale or something like that. But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
What are you playing?
Well, there's a few other ones that I've been playing and revisiting as well. But speaking of indie games that are free, I have religiously, since the release of the Epic Games Store, every Thursday they bring out or just give away 2 games for free. So I religiously go and claim them, and I now have a massive back catalogue of Epic games.
Because you didn't have enough. You didn't have enough unplayed games sitting on digital libraries.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's not to count. Oh God, I can actually do a count right now. I've got my PC in front of me, find out how many games I've got, and I've just never installed as well. But yeah, sorry. On the Epic Store, yeah, they do this thing where they give away, and very rarely is it like a big name or something like that.
Yeah,
they recently had Darksiders, but I mean, Darksiders is so old.
The first Darksiders.
No, it's the War Mastered edition and the Definitive edition. So it's both of them, but they're the remastered version. I didn't even know they had remasters. But
that's such a weird series, because there are now 3-4 games in that series.
I think there's a third one. I don't think there's a fourth one.
Okay,
because it's the Raiders of the Apocalypse.
Yeah, but then they had I'm vaguely kind of aware of the development stories, because there were going to be 4 of them, and then as all games companies which make this is going to be a 10-year series or 4-year series, they kind of had to condense 2 of them up. I'm kind of happy that they exist. Yeah, tell me about it, because I don't think I don't think they're games that particularly interested me, but they seem to keep kind of bashing them out, updating them.
I probably shouldn't have landed on that one, because I mean, I have played it back in 2006 or whenever it came out, and I mean, I downloaded it. In fact, I didn't even download it. I added it to my library. I haven't played it. I mean,
how's the menu? How's the menu for Darksiders then?
Well, I mean, I haven't even got that far. It's like literally, what is the grayed out image like on the Epic Store? That's ultimately what I've seen of that. No, what I was meaning was like they don't usually have big names for free. So, like, yes, they've got Darksiders. They've also had recently Just Cause 4. I have no idea about Just Cause series. Another one of these ones where I just can't bother getting into it. People like it. There might be a film being made about it. You know, it's just one of these ones which I don't touch on. But there's just a million other indie games like The Escapists, The Talos Principle, Hyperlight Drifter. These ones that you just sort of see crop up. And I think Hello Neighbor. I installed that one. In fact, yeah, we can talk briefly about Hello Neighbor. Have you seen it or played it or done anything with it?
I've watched a few. I ended up watching a few videos of it.
Okay.
Which I kind of enjoyed, but then I thought this is going to be one of those games. It seems really hard.
It's ridiculously hard.
It's just really hard.
Absolutely, intensely, insanely hard. It is. I went in blind. I knew it was like you're supposedly to run away from the neighbor or something like that. Literally, you can die within seconds of starting this game with no real knowledge of what's happening. Like I ran into a house because obviously, that's the whole principle. You go in the house and you gotta hide. And I was just splatted. And then I got angry and I brute forced it and just died so many times. And then I decided this game's too hard and turned it off.
That's why I ended up watching videos of it, because I thought this, it looks fun, nice gimmick, brutally hard, and I don't know. I don't have the. I have like mental room for maybe one stealth game every 10 years.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
And just that kind of, I don't know, that heightened anxiety all the time, creeping around. But so your trajectory sounds like what I think my trajectory was, which is why I've not kind of picked it up at all.
Yeah, it's too much, too hard, it's too. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even help you in any way. Like, there's no. Oh, by the way, if you do this or do that, it's all just going to be like community-based nonsense. Like, I'm sure there are people who are like straight up Hello Neighbor experts. Oh, I can't believe you didn't even get past the house. Don't you know that you're supposed to, go around the fence or something? I don't know. I'm done with it. I installed it. I don't know why I haven't uninstalled it yet. But yeah, you're right. I do not have the capacity or the patience. I think that's the most important thing. Like you were saying, the mental capacity for like one stealth game a year or every decade. I think it's just I don't have the patience to
especially
deal with
when
that sort of stuff.
Especially when the games where you know what you have to do. It's just a case of executing. The sequence. I have to do this and then this and then this.
I know. Get your skill levels up to be able to do that.
Yeah,
that's almost insulting as well.
Yeah,
it's like,
and maybe
it's the whole get good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and maybe as a younger man, I had more of an appetite for those kind of games, but these days, it's like, no, okay, give me something easy.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we just went off on a tangent of a game that I touched briefly, but that wasn't one of the ones I was going to talk about. But I feel as though I have ranted a little bit much. So tell me, what have you been playing?
So another game that I've been playing is Lego DC Supervillains.
Right, that is the third in the DC games, yeah.
Yes, it is, and they've all had a slightly different focus, and it's kind of a good take because we're both fans of Lego games. They are what they are, with rare exception. It's play through the story, unlock some characters, get some gold bricks, get enough abilities, redo the stories, get the red bricks, get the multiplier stud collecting red bricks, and then eventually kind of buy everything. There's very little challenge in many of them, but they're just kind of nice, fun games, and nice one to kind of get all the trophies and achievements. And so between us, I think we've pretty much played most of them, especially the Traveller's Tales Lego games. And we've played a bit of the ones before. And so this is the second.
Go on.
The second Batman game was great. It was just huge. It was just so huge. And I think we had a discussion about, well, where'd you go now? The first one's kind of based in cities. The second one's based in galaxies. And the gimmick, if you like, that they went for is that you start off playing as the villains. And unlike other Lego games, which I think most of them, going back to Star Wars, you kind of had a
I'm going to pause us right there for a second. Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. So that the DC supervillains must be like the fourth.
The fourth one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Batman 3 was Beyond Gotham. Yeah, Lego Batman 1, they didn't even talk. It was just all, remember like the very, very early Lego games? It was, Yeah.
So you start off by making a supervillain, and then that supervillain is kind of the key character through the story. So it's kind of cool to see your character, in all the cutscenes, and the story revolves around them. And of course, in this one, you're playing as the villain. So throughout you're kind of scheming, and then all your side missions are about committing crimes and minor misdemeanors and stuff like that. So, it is enjoyable. It's also huge. So, without spoiling it too much, you kind of hit the credits, and then there's like another story to play after that, which I was kind of surprised by. Of course, it's not just exclusively the villains. So, eventually the kind of Justice League get a bit of a look in. The problem with it, and this has been a growing problem with Lego games, is it's buggy as hell. And I've complained about this on I think on our Instagram and our Twitter. And I was playing it earlier today, actually, because I kind of finished the story, and so now I'm just hoovering up all the collectibles and whatnot. I've been crashed out to the menu 4 or 5 times. Other weird things happen. So sometimes, my customizable character doesn't have their hairpiece on. Sometimes, key items that you need for missions just don't appear. There's a couple of gold brick missions in the open world where, for whatever reason, some things not loading in, so I can't get them done. And it's really chipping away at my willpower to keep playing it. Particularly...
No, I remember, there was one day we were sitting down to play Lego. What is the name of the blooming title of it? It's Lego the Movie, the game, or something like that.
Yeah, the game of the first Lego movie.
Yeah, and we just started playing it, and we literally got to a point where we can't jump and reach the ladder.
Yeah,
and we felt stupid, but it was like glitching out and buggy, and like, what's wrong here? And like, just done. I own that game. We'll probably never play it.
No.
No. But there's always bugs in those Lego games.
But they seem to be getting worse. And I suffered through Dimensions on the Wii U, which was just so awful. And the thing with Traveller's Tales games, I don't know why, but they now front end them with this kind of pre-title scroll unskippable sequence. So in the Marvel games, you're Star-Lord kind of flying along. In this one, it's a security guard going through Wayne Enterprises. And again, just, you've been booted out or kicked out, you've had to restart, and then you have to sit through this annoying, unskippable sequence again and again and again and again.
Yeah, we've been there. I mean, but also Wii U support was legendarily bad for those Lego games as well. They used to put hot fixes out for even 360 and stuff like that, but because Wii U didn't really have that kind of support, day one patches and stuff.
Yeah.
You just got with all you get stuck with,
Yeah. No, so Dimensions was bad, but this is I'd say this is probably the second worst in terms of stability that I've played, and it's really chipping away my willpower to
What
finish.
system are you playing on?
Switch.
Switch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's the Switch version. You know.
No,
Maybe,
I've because when I've got stuck on the, surely something's wrong here, because again, your first feeling is I'm being really dense or really stupid and I can't find what I'm supposed to do. So I hit the message boards, and I think all versions of that game seem to have these problems. It's like, oh yeah, sometimes do you have to reload the level or restart the level, or sometimes they don't appear. As you play as the main kind of customizable character, you accrue various superpowers as you go along.
That's a good mechanic.
Yeah. And so for those, you enter this really easy mini game. But on 2 of those, I've ended up stuck on that screen, so you can't get out. A couple of times, characters have just gone missing, and I can't find them, or they get stuck on scenery, and there's no self-destruct. So it would be otherwise it would be a hearty recommend, I think. But yeah, these issues make it not an instant recommend.
That's pretty rubbish, because it did come out a year and a half ago or more.
Yeah, and there's I think there's 3 or 4 rounds of DLC. There's some Aquaman DLC, there's some Shazam DLC, there's some Teen Titans DLC.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'm still doing it was the latest Marvel one.
Yeah,
Marvel
Superheroes 2.
Heroes. Yeah, God. No, the Avengers one, I actively chose not to play. It wasn't that it was buggy. It was, why am I playing this story again? I'm not having fun. And so I just stopped playing it. And with Superheroes 2, I thought, brand new story. They're actually doing a retelling. It's massive. It's huge. It's fun. It's with Lego games. You need. I think it's possibly along the same lines as the stealth game. You need some time before you pick up a new Lego game.
Yeah.
There's no way you could play Lego games back to back. You would just be so frustrated with the consistent achievement chasing, collection chasing, and to be honest, the rest of the time all you're doing is rattling Y or X to just punch them, and then occasionally moving about because you need to fly or shoot something with a different type of weapon, and that's it. The skill level, the boss fights on them are not huge. There isn't really. They're super accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's one of the reasons why I play them is, and we've whinged about it, as everyone whinges about it. And we talked about it a little bit last time with Resident Evil 3. Is with a Lego game, as long as it fucking works, you kind of know where you are, right? It's easy to hoover up all the trophies. You don't really need to engage your brain. You can be doing it, whilst you're doing something else or listening to a podcast.
Yeah, it's chill.
Chill. Yeah, it's not. There's no daily logins. It's not a service. It's not it's not skill based. And that's one of the reasons why I like them. But yeah, it is undermined when you're kind of kicked back to the title menu once or twice a session. Yeah. And the DC and Marvel ones, even though they're basically both based on superheroes and supervillains, there are kind of differences to them, and this is now, according to you, this is the 4th DC one, and we've had 3 Marvel ones as well. And I guess I like the characters. I like the DC characters and setting better, but the story, the story in different levels in Marvel, much better. And I've also, you got me it, and again, I think it's a bit like how I play Mario games. At some point in the future, I'll be really in the mood for it, and then I'll just sit down and blast through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like Odyssey. I picked up at Christmas because it was cheap, and just flew through the entire game.
Yeah,
it was great, fantastic. It's a great game.
Yeah,
but it's not like you don't need somebody to recommend it to you. You already know. Everybody knows it's going to be a good game. You're going to have fun.
You just have to,
you know.
you just have to get into that headspace. Like, right, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I'm down for a Mario game. You know, it's going to take me a good 30, 40 hours to get it to the point where I'm happy not to have it on my start menu screen sort of thing, and then just move on. Yeah.
So that was so what have you been playing?
Right. Okay. Cool. So, what I was initially saying about the Epic Store was,
So you've had a game that you downloaded and not touched, another game that you downloaded and touched once.
no, a game that I've added to my library and didn't download, which was like the Darkstalkers series, and I like the Darkstalkers.
Darkstalkers or Siders?
Darkstalkers. Oh God, yeah, I like the Darkstalkers. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That'd be great.
Should replay that.
That'd be a great game.
Yeah. No, Darksiders. Yeah, like it is a game. It's right. We're done. Let's move on. Let's move past Darksiders.
Yeah.
It is a thing. And then Hello Neighbor, I played for like half an hour and then hated it. But yeah, there were some other indie titles that were brought up on the Epic Game Store, and I briefly spoke to you about. I played through the Stanley Parable.
Blast from the past.
Again, it is a blast from the past, and it's not a game. I mean, ultimately, it's not a game, but it's really well done, and I think that's what makes it worthwhile. Like that feeling of having choices, but you don't have choices, and the narration, like the narrator as a character, brilliant, fantastic. There's nothing really much more to say about it. You can spend an hour on it and you'll have completed the entirety of that game. So I was glad I got it for free.
Did you
because
did you kind of go back and do all the different routes?
I did most of the other routes, but by that point I was kind of like, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's enough, you know. Yeah, well done. I would just be replaying it for listening to some voice acting, which I'm sure is a nice thing to do. But at the end of the day, it's like, all right, I get it. There, you have nothing more to show or give to me, so I've done. But yeah, that killed. Like I say, an hour and a half, and cool. Yeah, I clearly. I'd love to see, like, they should do one of those sort of like the ResidentEvil.net statistics, because it'd be so funny to see initially what people chose to do in that one. Yeah. Did you follow the rules? Didn't you follow the rules? And that sort of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, like, that is a game. But that is not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about I'm getting there, was Gone Home. Yet another indie title that I got for free. And I'm going to go out on a wing, and I'm going to say it's not a game.
This is that's what I love about these discussions is, because there are certain people who kind of get games as they come out, completely smash through them, and that kind of makes up the zeitgeist when it comes to gaming websites, etc. So I remember when this came out, and it was in a spate of kind of walking simulators. It was around the time that Firewatch, I think it was before Dear Esther, all of those, and that's what people were saying. It's not a game; it's a walking simulator. However, I really liked Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Really like that.
Okay.
And that was kind of a walking simulator. So, yeah, Gone Home, thoughts?
Well, I mean, what I was going to say is walking simulators. I mean, I missed out on this. But yeah, okay, I'll concur that the zeitgeist was that it's a walking simulator. I think it's a good way of putting it. You walk through, you go to this thing, you find a code, you put the code in, and the plot progresses. And it's literally, there is a plot, because as you're walking through, you're getting your little sister just narrating her life to you as you're walking through this mansion, which may or may not be creepy. It may not or may not have a serial killer. It may or may not be Stephen King related or whatever. But yeah, as you go through, you're sort of piecing together the story. What I would say is it's more like a 3D visual novel. Do you know? That's essentially what it is. But as you're walking through, you get this false feeling of progression. Where in fact,
it's those sections in Gears of War, right? You've just got off the turret, and cleared that section, and now you're walking to the next section, and you put your finger to your ear for some story, and it's just that.
Yeah, but it's just that there is no instant reloads. There's no...
But isn't that fine? Surely there's a place. I mean, there's a growing number of these games. There's a place for those, right? Or is it just you'd rather do something else?
I think in order to justify this being a game, as in like officially a game, it needs to have a puzzle factor, not solid exploration. I mean, I haven't really thought about this, but I mean, in general, what I felt was I was looking at this, looking at the game in a harder way. I was like, shit, okay, right, I'm going to need to do that to get that. I need to collect this thing. When in fact, I had to just turn my brain off. And just, you don't need to do that. You will find the code. And when you find the code, that bit of the plot will then be, advanced. And you're
so
like, okay.
It was your kind of experience and expectations that perhaps ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is I'm only like 3 years in.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of talking.
Does it sound like
there's a lot.
Yeah, it sounded
talking.
like you were into it. So, are you going to stick with it?
I think I'm going to continue playing it. Yeah. I will play it till the end. But I'm going to use the word play and dirty
Okay. Does it matter?
I'm going to use the trackpad to move
does
around.
It matter if it's a game or not? This is one of the things that I always felt was interesting about the discussion around kind of walking simulators. Does it matter if it doesn't tick boxes that makes it technically it's a digital experience perhaps more than a game, but you still interact with it, and ultimately does it matter what it's classified as? You seem to be enjoying it. You've put in quite a few hours, intent on finishing it.
Yeah, but again, probably you're right. My expectations were of something else. I would kind of like, or I think the game exclamation that inverted commas would benefit from something more to it. Like, I guess another one of those what's it called, walking simulators would be Layers of Fear. And that had a very, very strong it lacked narration, but it had a very, very strong story, and it also had a very, very strong fear factor to it, like straight out of Silent Hill, straight out of scariness. And it used the engine so smartly, like the Stanley Parable, and like you would walk into a room and then you turn around and it turned out that room was a corridor. It would just change, and it was so cool how those physics did that, and that impressed you. With this, I'm now just learning a story, and I don't know, like, I'm being told a story. I want something more from it, I think. And yeah, you're like, I can't argue the case of, but you're still going to play it and you're going to go through it, and you will be entertained in that time. You know, you don't ask for more from like a TV show just because one TV show had X in it. You don't ask for another TV show to have more panelists or whatever. You know, like it's very hard for me. It is sort of lacking in that. But I've played other walking simulators, and I suppose it's a different one. It was also sold to me as like incorrectly as well, that it was solve the mystery of the disappearance of your family set in a retro 90s universe. And I'm like, all right, cool, fantastic. And I mean, unless you were told it was the 90s, it's not a thing. I thought it was going to be actually quite sort of like retro vaporware and all that sort of stuff, and sort of making fun of Windows 95. But no, it's not. It's just like, oh look, there's a cinema ticket. They've gone to see Pulp Fiction.
Are there cassettes?
Yes, there are cassettes. There are SNES game cartridges as well. But no, it's like, yeah, okay, you open a drawer and there's a thing there. That's it. That's the only nod to the 90s. It doesn't. Oh, I don't know. I feel like it needed more. Anyway, I will continue on, and I will let you know whether I decide what Gone Home is.
Because it came out to critical acclaim. I think it's like 7 years old now.
Really? Like, I had never heard of it at all.
Fast because all the reviewers said it's fantastic, and then a lot of gamers were like, would you actually? Is there any gaming in it? 2013.
Wow. Okay. Fucking hell! I literally, if it hadn't been for free on Epic Store, it would have passed me right by.
Yeah, I mean, all but this is his last gasp to pass you by, and you just got it. Well, yeah, keep me updated.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. And like I say, a couple of walking simulators I've played, I've liked, but I think there is something about. We talked about it a little bit last week. If you know there's kind of no threat, for me, something changes then. You're like, oh, okay, this is, So some games, particularly kind of horror or scary ones, when you kind of see behind the curtain, you're like, oh, well, actually, this thing can't help me.
Yeah, once you click to the mechanics, you're like,
But yeah, if there is a game where there's completely no threat, and again, I really do hate kind of breaking games down into, if you're not punching something or shooting something or killing something, or you've got lives or you've got HP, then it's not a game. But I think there is something there, particularly if you go in with a certain expectation.
The other thing is, it doesn't feel like I'm solving a mystery either. I mean, that was.
It's like I solved a mystery by opening the letter that was sent to me and reading it. So, well, that's not really solving a mystery, is it?
It read for me. It's very, very more. Oh, yeah. Actually, that's another thing. My setup. Like, I have the big TV and my PC sitting under it, and I like to play games that way. Occasionally, there will be a handwritten letter that you open up, and you then have to lean forward and try and squint and read the handwritten text because my setup is too far. That's very annoying. But yeah, how inconsiderate of those game developers not to take my
not thinking of you 7 years in the future playing it for free and the issues that you might have.
Yeah, exactly. 3 out of 10. Not enough future. Yeah. So, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Final Fantasy VII again on the Nintendo Switch. So,
Just to be clear,
oh yeah,
Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know if they've have they given the new one any kind of suffix, or is it just Final Fantasy VII? Is it remake? I guess.
Let's just call it remake.
Yeah, so because remake came out, and it came out in the same kind of window for normal people who don't have infinite money as Resident Evil 3. Because it was quite pricey as well. It was like 50 quid, I think, or 70 quid for the special edition. I thought...
Yep. And then there was like a ridiculous 300-400 pound edition, which had like a statue
and a bike patch and a bottle cap and God knows what. Or whatever shit they bundle these things. And so I just was much more in for Resident Evil 3 than Final Fantasy. But I did download the theme for my PlayStation 4, which has a gorgeous kind of shot of the cast and the music. One of the remix tunes plays, so it's really tempting not to dive in. Before the last time we got together, we quickly played the demo as well, and we're all in for it.
Yeah.
So in order to,
I was really, really down to the point where I was thinking, can I justify getting a PS4 just for this game?
Just for your PlayStation 4 to be the Final Fantasy machine, essentially.
Yeah.
And so and so in order to not kind of get sucked in and buy a game I probably can't afford, I thought, do you know what? I've got Final Fantasy VII sat on my Switch. Let's hit that up. And so I've been playing back through that again, and I'm gripped. It's one of the, I know it's the game that a lot of Western gamers in particular talk about, but we got a lot of love for it. And I think this may be the third or fourth time that I'm kind of revisiting it, and every time you kind of remember bits of it, but then forget a lot. But you kind of, when you come across it, oh yeah, it's this bit, but you forget the kind of sequence of events. And just really enjoying it. That's it.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I picked up Final Fantasy VII on Steam probably about 3-ish years ago. But when I did it, I decided that I was going to play it in the most beautiful fashion possible. And I think it was some sort of Kotaku article or something like that, where they said, "Oh, look at this mod! It makes Final Fantasy VII so amazing," which is what the people at Kotaku sound like.
I didn't realise they were from a certain part of Scotland.
And slightly slow. Yeah. So I went and I got hold of this, and it's like the modding community for it is so religious. Like they've made it so accessible and easy. So there is like one sort of front loader. I can't even remember. It's like, oh god, and I should remember because it's something from the game. It's like Tifa's something heaven. What was the name of the pub? The show. Yes, like Tifa's Heaven or something like that. And that's like the name of the front loader. And every mod or modder worth their salt, who's going to do something for this, makes it compatible with that front loader. So it's just a matter of like choosing your mods and you go through it. But the variety of mods that you get are amazing and intense. Like replacing all of the music with proper BGMs. Like this is, I mean, I don't know if it's still the same in the Steam version, but when Final Fantasy VII first came out in the PC, all the music was MIDIs. I shit you not, like that. Nobuo Uematsu's score.
I remember we were
Like,
listening to them a while ago, a couple of them, and it is really bad.
yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, so like you can update the music. There's a guy who's gone through and using like computer learning has upscaled all of the backgrounds to 4K. There's like new models as well, so you can have like rather than having like the big-headed chippy characters, you can actually have the normal characters on the world map, and you can replace them for Advent Children versions and things like that. And of course, the mod that everybody cares about, beyond making it so beautiful, was, and spoilers, Aeris doesn't die.
I thought you were going to say Tifa nude.
Tifa nude, yeah. I mean, like, of course, every character naked, and you can have probably characters from, I think it was other Final Fantasy games, like have Squall in your party for some reason. You know, that sort of stuff, naked. Using his gunblade as a willy. I don't know. But yeah, like beyond that, yeah, they put the Ares resurrection in there, and it's weird because as you play through, I decided to do it, and I decided to get her her level 4 limit break and all that sort of stuff. The characters still react to her, and this wasn't anything like the modders had put in. So there genuinely was a point in the game, this code exists, where you could still talk to and interact with Aeris throughout it. So like as you get onto the disc, and you probably notice this once you are, I don't know how far you are in Final Fantasy 7, but they just don't really acknowledge that she's gone or not in the party. There's a couple of points where they sort of say, oh, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, the game does easily work with her just being around.
I just don't understand why you'd go to all that effort. You know, it's a key turning point in that much loved story. Yeah. I mean, in my current playthrough, she's called Dead Girl, and kind of all the flirting and whatever is leaning the teeth away, because it's like, you know, her days are numbered. She's the Walking Dead, and I'm fine. I don't want her to come back.
No, I mean, like I'm not like an Aeris fanboy or anything like that, but I was just kind of like, oh, cool. The time that you spend on that character and give her like one of the best limit breaks, like, yeah, keep her in the park. And it was more of a morbid curiosity. I don't mean morbid, it actually works on 2 levels. It was just a curiosity to see, like, oh, can you have this character in your party?
I mean,
cool.
Are there mods where she comes back but she's a zombie?
That would be excellent, but I don't know.
If you know, when Cloud puts her into that water, there's just a umbrella canister in the background, and then a character model just changes to the zombie model, but otherwise everything kind of plays out. But what's kind of interesting, because it's been long enough since I played through again, is that I'm playing it with that kind of all the worst habits of playing through an RPG like that. So I was going up the Shinra Tower, and there's all those puzzles which I kind of vaguely remember. There's the one with the library, the one with the segments of the Midgar sectors which you have to put in, and the kind of tendrils of that kind of item fear. I have to get everything. I keep looking up, where's that first enemy with the enemy skill that I need to get, because you only get 3 chances at getting it. And so all of that is back.
Yeah.
That kind of fear of missing items and and selling everything off apart from one of every kind of all the crappy bangles and crappy swords, which is ridiculous because I know there's very little consequence of missing out on some of these things, or it's actually quite difficult to miss out on Vincent and Yuffie, but it's all there now. It's all back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, everybody loves Vincent so much, and I you want to like him as a character, but his ultimate weapon.
I was gonna say, it's stupid.
Oh yeah, he's
stupid metal clown shoes.
Yeah. His ultimate weapon is awful. Like, it gains more power based on the number of enemies you've killed with Vincent in percentage to everyone else. So it is such a silly, convoluted thing, but ultimately what you need to have done is, from the moment you got Vincent, you're already way behind because you've killed thousands upon thousands of enemies. And then from then on, you need to be just constantly killing.
It's for the true
enemies.
Vincent fans.
Yeah.
One of the things that hasn't aged very well is, or maybe just because I'm actually reading stuff rather than just whizzing through it again, is there's quite a few sexual references, and at one point Tifa calls Barrett a retard.
Yep. Stop being retarded.
Which is really kind of jarring. I was like, oh wow, you really just used to band those terms around her. And I don't remember at the time being like, oh, I should have said that. And there is a lot of kind of sexual innuendo, which I don't think I really picked up on before.
We're gonna have to stop there, Farley. I've managed to break our plant pot, and the floor is covered.
That?
So
I'm talking.
Well, the cat was like looking to go out the door, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'll go and do that. And as I did it, I moved the thing, and it fell down. But I'm going to edit this back out, and we'll just continue on the Final Fantasy VII thing at another point. Okay, cool.
Bye.